welcome to this week's Rob's Country. We're going to take a look at what people with vineyards do with their time, and there's not much of it spare. And we're also going to have a look at the Aoraki Polytech farm. But first up, fly strike. I guess it's looming large again.
Yes, humidity is the big driver for fly development, and so yeah, we have this still a bit of moisture around and the temperature's starting to rise, so fly strike season is upon us, probably, I would say.
There's two types, there's the primary and the secondary.
Yep, so primary strike and secondary strike, it's important to understand the difference between the two. So primary strike, it's a problem caused through flies that blow maggots that actually will damage intact skin and flesh. So there doesn't have to be a problem, there doesn't have to be a wound or anything to be infected, as long as the environment's nice for the maggot to live in and it won't get dried out, maybe a dag or in a skin fold in a merino sheep or something, then that maggot will produce the right enzymes and actually chew through intact skin and make its own wound. Where secondary strike is caused through flies that will blow maggots onto an open wound, and they'll take advantage of the damage that's already been done, taking advantage of the fact that the protection of the skin's been desiccated or damaged, and get access to the nice juicy stuff underneath. So yeah.
Now, apologies to everybody who's having dinner at the moment. But as far as prevention is concerned?
Yeah, so it's quite a technical subject to look at fly strike prevention. It traverses decades, and it's changed dramatically through the development of technology, actually. And so, you know, we've still got some old-fashioned mechanisms of control using plunge dipping, shower dipping, and spray races and the likes. But these days, the much more modern techniques involve the use of chemicals called insect growth regulators, which most of them can be applied very simply and topically as a stripe across the sheep's back. Sometimes
just a pour on.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, or a topical application around the sites that are really prone to being struck, such as the breech, of course.
And of course, keep them clean, keep the dags off them.
Absolutely. So that's another big important factor in prevention and controlling parasite infections, so we don't get daggy sheep. And so it works hand in hand with good stock management. Good management practices such as crutching and breeching, that's going to go a long way. Keeping an eye on stock, I'm always harping on about that, I know. Rams are a classic for pole breech when they get damaged heads from fighting with each other when the testosterone starts running. We get wounds and blood and pus and things matting together the wool at the pole at the top of the head, and of course that attracts flies, and then we can get strike in those areas. Actually, surprisingly, another big thing to think about is foot rot, or foot rotty sheep. When they're sitting down, the exudate and the muck from the foot can get contact with the belly, and that's another really good site for strike to be induced.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, and it's quite a common location. Very important, especially for the small block holders, to be aware that the risk's out there. I think it's important to recognise a sick or an unhappy sheep when it separates off from the mob. Of course, with a little bit of fleece on, it can be very difficult to notice the strike lesion.
And they get irritable, don't they? They're sort of
irritable. Sometimes you'll get a nibble. You touch the sheep and it will actually give a bit of a nibble. Yeah, but it's quite hard. You look for discoloration in the fleece and a little bit of matting in the fleece, and sometimes you part the fleece and you can see what's going on.
Seething mass, yeah. Now, what about things like resistance? I hate using that word to a veterinarian.
No, it's important to talk about, and that in part has driven this onset of insect growth regulators, because we moved from the traditional chemicals called organophosphates, which are exceptionally effective, but they created major problems with OSH, with health problems with people and exposure to people. Dangerous group of chemicals, and from there we got pyrethrins, which were really good, but rapid development of resistance. And so on from that, we've got these insect growth regulators, which are important, and they're the mainstay of treatment these days. Different products applied at different rates for long fleece or short fleece sheep, different residual activities, so that's also important. We need some residual activity, so we've got activity for some length of time after the application. And I think the other thing that maybe is good just to touch on, I know we're running short on time, just quickly, I think we should be aware that do ensure that there's no withholding period on fleece, because that's starting to become an issue with chemical residue in fleece as well.
It's called communicate with your veterinarian.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. We've got a whole lot more for you on Rob's Country, and some of it's straight after the break.
Blackwell's has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwell's your #1 choice. Visit Blackwell's today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn, or online at blackwells.co.nz.
For news, views and local stories, the Christchurch Star.
3799 Remember the nights, your Blue Star.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are handpicked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
We all know the best thing you can do for your body is eat fresh foods in their natural state. The same applies to your skincare. Southern Skin provides a skincare range with fresh, locally sourced ingredients, plus natural preservatives and emulsifiers to produce the best nourishment for your skin to unleash your healthiest complexion. New Zealand olive and aloe skincare for young or old, men, women and children. There is a product in the Southern Skin range for you. southernskin.co.nz.
Undergone home renovations? Looking for that special something to complete a room? Look no further than the Hitching Post. Their extensive range ensures you can find that special something. From plasma cut metalwork to candles, artwork, weather vanes, or even a customised gate. So come on down to the Hitching Post, 722 Marshland Road.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. I made a big mistake the other day. You see, I went in to see Graham Lindsay and I just said in passing, "Addison, what are you guys doing this time of year?" He took 2 breaths and 12 minutes later I'd found out.
Rob, it's dormant right now. Nothing's happening out there. It's, we've finished pruning, you can see that, which is good. Nice to have that done. We've done the lime sulphur spray, which the neighbours hate because, of course, it's a bit smelly, but it's gone in a day. We did that yesterday. And it was a still day. I can't smell it now. It's a still day, so it was fabulous for that. So now it's sort of just hunkering down to get ready. We're nowhere near woolly buds or anything, so that we've got, I would say, a month before bud burst, which is good, because we're very vulnerable to frost, of course, as you know. So yeah, the year's underway. The toughest job was the pruning. You've got 15,000 grapevines to prune, and that takes a bit of work, but it's done. Thank the Lord.
So you and Heather pick up a pair of secateurs and away you go?
In your dreams, mate. Not a hope in hell. No, we had a gang of pruners came in, and they've done a pretty good job. Not perfect, but no, it never is. But no, it's a good job. You can see out there, it's all clean and tidy, and we've been through with the mulcher and mulched it all down, and we'll put a mulcher through again next week or so, and second mulch, and then it just back to regular mowing.
So how important is casual labour such as your gangs of pruners?
It's crucial. Unless you want to do all the work yourself, and then you can't on a vineyard this size. With 15,000 vines, it's too much for a couple to do. You've got to have help for pruning, for leaf plucking, unless you put the machine through that we talked about earlier, and for harvest. But wire lifting, through December and January, you got your shoots start off in October, and they grow at about that much in November, so you're lifting one of the wires down to hold them in, so that when the winds come along, it doesn't blow them around and blow them off. But then you've got, as the shoots get taller, they get less stable, so you've got all the wires, and you can have a look on the posts over there, and you see there's the two foliage wires. So there's a lot of work, and just the training of the vines, training of those shoots as they grow. And that's really late November through mid-January, end of January.
You can't expect them just to come up through the wires.
We try and train them, but never been overly successful. No, they don't listen too much. They're a bit like, I was going to say Labour Party politicians, but I shouldn't say that.
But you can, and you just did. So that's all fine. That's all fine. No, but seriously, so there is a lot of work between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, you've got it in bursts. There's not a lot now for a few weeks, but let me think. You've got bud rubbing's the first job that happens. What happens?
What's with bud rubbing?
Bud rubbing, okay. Down at the bottom of the vine, the first 6 inches is the disease-resistant rootstock, which has the roots. Then there's a graft, so the fruiting part of the vine has been grafted. When we bought them, they came in grafted. And at that join, you get little buds coming off. And they grow into long canes if you leave them. And because you've got a weed spray, to keep your weeds down around the plants. If you've got any green on the vine and you use your Roundup on it, your glyphosate, bingo, you lose your plant. So you've got to rub those buds off. So bud rubbing is the first job that happens, and that'll start in probably late October, and we'll have someone here for a couple of weeks over that time, possibly one student.
Rubbing up the vines, really?
Yeah, you can go along with the secateurs and cut them off, or we've got a tool, it's like a garden hoe. You know how the garden hoe, the torpedo-like hoe, grounded off so there's a concave surface at each end, and you stand up here, you don't break your back. You stand here and rub off the buds. So yeah, you do that sort of stuff. It's like with harvest. We have, you'll recall, we have the old pushchairs, the old baby buggies that I built racks on to put the baskets, so that the workers who are harvesting don't break their backs getting up and down all day. So you got to look after people when they're working for you.
So that's then after your wiring, what happens then?
So bud rubbing's first,
yep.
Then's wire lifting. That's when you've got the shoots growing up and you've got to tuck them and whatever. Then we go through with a trimmer. So what that is a machine that has a sickle cutter down the side and like a rotary mower at the top. So that trims the bits that are hanging out the side, because you don't want stuff hanging out into your row space. And it goes along the top and trims the top, so that you end up with your grapes with enough cane, with enough leaf to ripen the grapes, but not so much that it becomes unruly. So then you can put the nets over the top. So there's this trimming. Mowing all the time, every so often over the growing season, you've got to go through with a mower to keep it tidy. Then we put the nets on, and that's typically early mid-February. So we have over-row nets, you'll recall. In fact, we've been under them filming a couple of years ago. So we've got nets that'll cover 4 rows at a time, and some of them, in fact, cover 8 rows, but this block we put them at 4 rows. And they go on with a machine, and 4 people, 1 on the tractor, 1 on the reel, and 1 out each side, and we can cover the whole place, 8 hectares in a day. Then another couple of days tying it all down, and bingo, that's no birds. Either that, or you've got to go around with guns, and of course that's not friendly to neighbours, so we use the nets.
And then of course you've got your harvest, and you get people in for that as well.
Yeah, we bring a big team. Well, what we've done in the past has 2 things. Number one, we've gone for tourist youngsters, backpackers and stuff, and they've been good. Last couple of years that we harvested, we actually got locals. We had a neat group of local people, and they were everything from sort of 30 through 70. age range. They were lovely people. You know the good thing? They didn't spend half the day on their bloody cell phone or texting their mates. They actually came to work. It was wonderful. And, you know, don't get me wrong, the young people are great, but struggle to get them to do a day's work. But that's fine. But no, we had a neat group of people. And in fact, one couple that picked for us in 2012, they were keen to do more work, so they ended up doing the pruning in the end of June 2012 to June 2013, Neil and Kay. They were lovely people. They were retired farmers from the coast, live around the corner, and they're just good people. Well, we've had a lot of those.
Project.
Sorry?
They needed a project.
That was what it was, I think. They needed something to keep them off the streets. Neil does a bit of truck driving and Kay does all sorts of things, but they're just good people.
It's a pretty full season. You don't actually get to play much golf if you own a vineyard.
I wish. My golf clubs haven't been out of here, trying to think, for about 3 years. Last time I swung the golf clubs would be 3 years ago. So yeah, and in fact the motor racing's gone. I've sold the race cars. I can't even go and do that.
Things are getting tough, Graham.
Mate, they are, I tell you.
So if somebody's actually got this great romantic idea of starting a vineyard from scratch, you need to actually look at yourself in the mirror.
Well, someone very wise once said, if you want to make a small fortune in the great business, start with a big one.
Yeah, you'll end up with a small one.
You'll end up with a small one. You're working hard all the time. There's a lot of work to be done. And that's the easy bit, what we've been talking about in the vineyard. The tough bit's selling the wine. Because you're going out there and you're dealing with, when you're a little guy, you're dealing against the factories who make a lot of wine, and they can make it a whole lot cheaper than I can just because economies of scale. So they can sell it to restaurants for $4 and $5 or $6 a bottle. I can't. It costs me more than that to make it, let alone grow the grapes, let alone any marketing costs. So you're shoveling water uphill with a pitchfork.
So where do you sell it? How do you sell it? I mean,
ours is all restaurants. We're in top restaurants in Auckland, in Wellington, and here in Christchurch. So Cuisine magazine in July came out with their top restaurant list for the country, and I think in the Auckland ones, I think we're in 3 or 4 of the 5 in Auckland. There's the thing I was reading on email this morning, the top 10 restaurants in Auckland. We're either in or have been in 7 of the top 10 in Auckland. So that's our market. We can't make cheap factory wine. Ours we hand harvest, we hand sieve it into the crusher. It's all single batch, single vineyard. They're all small batches, but it's good wine. But we can't compete with the factories on price. So what we've got to do is to identify the people who are prepared to pay a little bit more than the price of cheap, crappy wine to get something that's good.
Okay, how does somebody in an Auckland restaurant know that a Tresillian Pinot Noir, for example, is going to be better than the other 5 Pinot Noirs on that?
Because I phone them up on a regular, so I go to Auckland once a month for 3 days. I phone on the week prior. So this week I'm making phone calls to Wellington because I'm going to Wellington next week. The week after that, I go to Auckland. I go to Auckland 2 weeks after that. So a week after Wellington, I'm on the phone to Auckland. I fill up my 3 days of appointments, and I'm working on a 1-hour appointment cycle, and I'll be making 7 or 8 a day. And I'm pouring the wine. So I'm introducing the wines to you as a restaurateur and saying, what gaps you got on the list? Where in your list could something from Canterbury that's a damn fine wine, where would it fit? Price point, and you go through all the stuff, and they taste it, and they say, does this work with our food? So, for example, right now, in Vinnie's in Jervois Road in Auckland. Jeff Scott's the owner, very, very talented chef, great people. Marie, the German lady that runs the front of house, they're serving our 09 off-dry Riesling with a roast grilled quail dish. It's on their website, on their Facebook page. How they served it to a group of food writers and bloggers about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and got rave reviews. But it's a different wine. And if my wines are exactly the same as the factory wines, then who's going to bother buying them? Because they can make them a whole lot cheaper than I can. Yeah. But when they're different and they're a little bit special, that's when you get in. So you've got to be different. You've got to have good wine at a fair price. That's just a bit different.
So the layperson should actually say to the waiter, I'm very tempted to have the quail. What wine should I have with it?
If you go to Vinnie's and say, look, that quail sounds pretty nice, they're going to say, well, Mr. Cope Williams, we really recommend this Tresillian Cerealia. It's an amazing wine that's got gorgeous grapefruit marmalade and here's the famous cat. Grapefruit marmalade and saffron flavours. together with the honey and the minerality that you get from a damn fine Canterbury Riesling. So, and they promote it. They promote this match, and it's great. Yeah, we get a lot of that. You know, there's a restaurant in Wellington at the Bolton Hotel. The Bolton's a relatively small private hotel just off the terrace, down near Parliament, just around the corner from Parliament. And they relaunched and rebranded their restaurant as Artisan about 2.5, 3 years ago. And by sheer chance, I'd happened to phone them and went in and saw them prior to their launch. And yeah, we're Artisan, we want Artisan wines. They tasted our wines and listed 3 of them. We got an email the night they opened from a lady on her iPad in the restaurant saying, "This Chardonnay is stunning, where do I get some? Can I get a case?" And that's a lady, she's Jane, she's in Cambridge. As I understand, she's a pharmacist and she's had a couple of cases since. She keeps coming back for more. And that's a neat thing. That's the sort of thing when you're fizzing, when someone says, "Damn it, that wine's so good."
It makes it all worthwhile.
It does. You know, they've recognised value, and that's when you're a small producer, you've got to focus on value. You can't focus on price. I can't compete on price. So the product we make and we want to sell to you has got to represent value that you think, damn it, it's worth paying a little bit more to get something a bit better.
I did tell you that he gave us a pretty good brief on what happens in a year, but at Trazillian Wines, obviously, Graham Lindsay, and yeah, I don't think that had actually been done before that whole season. After the break, we're going to be talking with Jim, and no doubt the similar sort of subjects will come up. Mainland Minerals have been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals get their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertiliser. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it'll pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around. Irrigation is the future for farming in New Zealand, but like any technology, you can't be expected to get the most out of it on your own. Hydro Services is the key to maximising your results. On-farm irrigation management, minimising drainage losses, minimising power usage and maximising efficiency. Soil moisture solutions, soil water holding capacity assessments, resource consent applications and on-farm workshops, all there in the one place. Hydro Services, your one-stop for irrigation management and soil moisture measurement solutions.
Airtech wastewater treatment systems are the future here now. Easy to use and efficient, these sewage plants are already where the environmentalists are heading. You can relax as new rules come into place. A series of chambers does the work while you reap the benefits. Easy to landscape, they're ideal for new homes or as a replacement for an old septic tank. Airtech wastewater treatment system, your advantage when dealing with grey or black water. See the RX Plastics website for details or contact RX Environmental.
BioBlue probiotics are a safe and affordable way to improve animal health and farm profitability. Our products are independently tested for quality by Lincoln University and proven to work through independent trials. We're proud to let our product speak for itself and prove that it works on your farm before you buy. Call us today for your farm-sized free sample.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company.
Oi!
Welcome back to Rob's Country. There's a whole lot of that white stuff about, mate.
There is.
On the hills.
This is the time of year when we don't sleep very well. just listening to Graham's story, it's quite interesting. Up north, of course, in Hawke's Bay, and in parts of Waipara now and Nelson, buds are breaking in the grapes, especially in the Chardonnays, the early varieties. So the guys are hunkering down a bit and looking at their alarms and getting the helicopters ready and doing all the things that you can possibly do to try and stave off the damage of frost. I just came back from Australia on Tuesday and coming over the Alps, and obviously had a fair bit of snow just before that.
Yeah.
Because they were quite.
You knew when to leave town.
Yeah, I did. But I thought, oh, well, there we go. If we get nice clear skies, we're going to have some nice frost. But let's hope we just work our way through them. Crops in general, whether they be apples or stone fruit. Stone fruit's certainly well and truly in flower now, and some of it's already flowered and in fruit. But there are a lot of young green tissue out there now on all sorts of crops. And this is just the time of the year. You've got to walk through the next 4 or 5 weeks with caution. And there's a number of things you can do, as I've mentioned before, Rob, putting on that copper, keeping grass short under orchards and this sort of thing. The windmills are a good thing, helicopters are a good thing, but the conditions have got to be right for them. If there's no inversion layer there, what happens, especially in the South Island, more than the North Island, if we have warm temperatures, say from a northerly situation, and that turns around to a southerly, and the sky's clear, and the late afternoon is quite cold, there may be that the actual inversion layer that holds that warm air is actually moved on. And you put a chopper up there and you're blowing cold air down.
Air blast freezing it.
Air blast freezing it. So you've got to really know how to manage that. And the guys have been doing it for a while now, and they certainly do. But you can have a nice expensive machine that you've paid to sit on your property, and you actually can't get it up in the air, and you've got a nice frost going on. So it's a pretty frustrating time.
They have thermometers on the skids and things, don't they?
They do. They have on the aircraft itself. They have them on the skids, and then they have them talking to one down below. And there's also lights spread around, say, vineyards, for instance, and the light will go from green to an orange to red, and the chopper knows to go to that area. It's just the coldest area. It's what needs to be given a buzz. So it's pretty good technical stuff, but the conditions have got to be right. And the easiest way to tell if there is an inversion layer there and where it is to put a little bit of straw in the corner of the paddock somewhere and light it, and it'll hit the inversion layer. It'll tell you exactly where the aircraft's got to go. True story.
No point in getting old if you don't get clever, is there?
Yeah, exactly. So other things that we've got to watch out for. Yes, I know we've had a little bit of recent rain, but on the surface it's still quite dry. And there's even some mud about too. It sounds a bit contradictory, but at the end of the day, I do believe we could be coming dry pretty quickly this year. It's going through the spring. We've had a wonderful bud break of all the various crops, nice and even, which is contrary to what I thought may have happened, because we had a reasonably warm winter and we nearly need chilling for a lot of crops, but they've all broken beautifully and evenly. So we're in pretty good space, actually.
And what about cleaning up and herbicides and stuff, just to get on top of it before it gets
Just
any
not.
older?
I don't encourage growers from now on to use any residual herbicides. It's late enough, but the knockdowns, the busters or the glyphosates are certainly good, and there is a bit of tidying up to do. Not too bad though. So just strip spraying, and probably one of the more crucial things is to start to look out for greeblies. There's a few early insects that come in, mites come in. There's scale out there, a little bit of scale. So the growers need to go out and check their wood on their trees or on their canes. And I dare say there is a little bit of a lull before the storm now, because we start our spraying regimes, well, some have already started of course, but the main spraying regimes start in about another 2 weeks' time. So guys are really sort of standing around waiting for things to happen. And they are. So I think overall the spring has started pretty blooming well.
Good. Looking at black currants, what's happening there? With those clear wing things, when do they come in?
Yeah, well, they're there all the time, actually. The larvae in the bushes at the moment. We've just finished doing a whole lot of cutting of cane to monitor what infection levels are out there, and they actually are quite high this year. We didn't see a lot of clear wing in the crop late season last year, and we thought, well, maybe it's not too much about, but now we've had a look in the winter, cut the canes, there's actually quite a high level of clearing out there. So the first thing we can do at the moment is to put on an insecticide with our green tip or good green tip sprays. So that's the fairly early spray. That's the only insecticide we'll put on And then later on in October, mid to late October, we'll start to apply the pheromone strips, which are a wire with insecticide in them, pheromone in them, which actually confuses the males and the females. They don't mate, and therefore the populations drop. So it's a good strategy, and that does work very well. Growers have got to put up to a minimum of 500 and preferably 1,000 strips to a hectare, and they'll last right the way through until February.
So we're set up for a good season.
I think we are. I spent a bit of time in Tasmania in the last few days, and it's very interesting to see the various crops that are grown over there. Very similar to New Zealand. There's one crop that we haven't got here, and that's pyrethrum, and of course we haven't got the poppies either for the morphine, for the
heroin.
Yeah. So, but they're two quite major crops. And I think both could be grown in New Zealand. I know the poppies won't be from a political point of view, but maybe pyrethrum could be. But what I can say is, listening to Graham and talking about his dissertation of quality wines, the Pinot Noirs in Tasmania are very, very similar to New Zealand. And in fact, I think very similar to what we produce in Canterbury and Waipara. And they are rather enjoyable.
Very good. Obviously you did some quality control.
Had a little bit of quality control work to do, Rob. What from now on, what the growers are really going to look out for is the rapid growth that will start to happen, and make sure they've got their cover fungicide and insecticide sprays on.
It's interesting what Graham was saying though about these little guys battling away against the big guys. I mean, the big guys have got the clout to buy a wine list, haven't they?
Yep, they have. But he's right. If you've got quality in your bottle and you're able to manage a price with somebody that is quite prepared to add value too, look, the consumers are getting far more briefed on what good and bad wines are. You buy $11 wine, you buy $11 wine, you buy a $30 wine, you buy a very pleasurable wine.
Because there was a time when the price was dictated by what it owed the winemaker.
Yes, that's right.
That's gone.
It's gone. The consumers are much more educated now, and so they should be. And I think, as much as Graham was saying, and it's quite true what he was saying, it's a real battle. Quality always comes through, and you have to do it on the vine first before you can get it into the wine.
Jim, thank you very much indeed. After the break, we're going to be talking communication.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course, or have a go at the air gun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Come in and meet the locals at the Bush Inn Centre. Whether it's to grab a coffee on the go or to catch up with a friend over lunch or dinner, the Bush Inn Centre is the perfect place. With our unique range of shops, you'll find everything you're looking for and more. Our friendly locals are always happy to help. We have plenty of parking at the Bush Inn Centre, making your shopping experience just a little bit easier. So come in, meet the locals and shop Bush Inn. You'll find us on the corner of Riccarton and Waimari Roads.
3799 Remember the nights, no Blue Star.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are hand-picked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
Potholes. To some, a simple hole in the ground, causing no harm and no concern. But don't let that fool you. Potholes are dangerous. Did you know potholes have been linked to numerous nasty falls and flat tires? So if you have a pothole situation on your property, don't panic. Call the Pothole Repair Company. They'll fix your potholes in a jiffy. So next time you see a pothole on your driveway or in your car park, call the Pothole Repair Company.
Kaikoura, located just 2 hours out of Christchurch. Kaikoura's amazing natural environment is what makes it one of New Zealand's must-see destinations. And the Kaikoura community has recognised the value of their environment as they enter their 10th year of environmental certification in order to protect it. Environmental certification is a commitment by all residents and businesses to act sustainably through having a zero waste commitment, biodiversity, water use and protecting the ocean resources through a coastline strategy. To find out more, visit kaikoura.co.nz.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. T.L. Parker, what's the history? They seem to have been around since forever.
Since Adam was playing halfback for Jerusalem.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, nearly 50 years, half a century, about 47 years, I think now, Rob. So that we've got a fairly good standing here in Canterbury. And yeah, we've diversified a wee bit over the years, but communication is what we're all about.
So basically, what are you into? Because you're into farming?
Yes. Yes. On-farm communications is, I think it's become even more relevant. And what I mean by on-farm communications, it's the two-way radios, the on-farm repeaters, connecting to maybe the new digital network which we deployed last year, keeping in touch with your employees, keeping in touch with your wife if you need to, just making sure that you know where each person on the property is, and making the farm more efficient, basically. Not having guys driving around the farm looking for waratah rammers and things like that.
Time is money, Dave, isn't it?
It is very much so, especially now. So we're very proud with the products that we do market into Canterbury, the Motorola products primarily. And we've got a very sophisticated digital system which we've, as I said earlier, we've deployed. And we've got a number of farmers in the Canterbury area, Rakaya and so on, that are on that new digital system, which offers absolutely amazing.
So what you're saying really is we've come a hugely long way.
We have. And it's not, I suppose, unlike cellular. If you remember 10 years ago, the cell phone, or even 15 years ago, pretty much it was, hey, you could call home, or then you got to texting, and now it's pretty much you can do anything you like on the cell phone. With radio, Motorola being the inventor of the cell phone, they've really, I suppose, consolidated that technology, and we're seeing that now in radio, two-way radio. I'm not saying you can play games on your radio.
No, but however, it's now compact and slick.
Absolutely, very slick, very compact. The audio quality is state of the art. Very light, and of course waterproof and robust. That's the main thing, particularly in the farming agricultural industry. We want something that if you drop it off the quad bike or the tractor or whatever in the cow shed, you're not going to worry too much about it. It's going to happen.
The old days of line of sight and range.
Do you know, we still do a lot of that, Rob, because there are stations up in the back country, as you know, that are out of reach of certain repeater services and so on. So we can do a number of things. We can put a repeater on the farm, and that's a very cost-efficient way for the farmer to have a means of contacting his employees or her employees over the property. Or you can have a line of sight, like you just said, which is called commonly known as a simplex. So that's just a radio to radio, and that works very well as well. So if you're in a paddock ploughing and you want to talk to one of the other guys down the other end of the farm, that can work very well as well. It's very cost effective.
You've got a story about somebody whose life was saved, literally.
Yes. We had we just put some new radios on a farm in Rakaya Terrace, and they were using actually cell phones for a while, and it was very frustrating for the owner and the manager to keep in touch with his staff. There was 12 staff, I think, at the time, riding bikes and so on, and bringing cows in early in the morning, and they'd went onto our new digital network anyway. But within about 2 days after the radios were on the farm, that one of their employees had driven through a gate and broken his leg, a very bad fracture of his leg at 3 o'clock in the morning. The radio, he was able to call up for help immediately, and he was airlifted off the farm. If it wasn't for the radios, the farm manager said, look, I don't know how long he would be there. Could be hours.
Could have been curtains.
Yes, it was a very serious fracture, so it proved its worth within 2 days being on the farm from a health and safety point of view, absolutely.
Yeah. Price-wise, I mean, the more technology you cram in seems to the cheaper they get nowadays, Dave.
It does, doesn't it? You know, though, first off the rank, you know, the iPhone 6s and so on, they seem to hold their price. But with the radios haven't really moved up in price. They've held themselves pretty steady. Motorola's the largest in the world, and we're very lucky to have that technology and keep the prices at a nice even level.
We're going to keep in touch, Dave. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, I love it.
Now, Aoraki Polytech, we've been talking about them for a wee while now, about how they're doing the whole training thing, and part of it is very hands-on. The history of the course, Mark.
Aoraki Polytech have, in the past, run horticulture courses, and with the downturn in probably the rural sector a few years ago, everything went on the back burner, but now we're looking at getting it up and running again. So we've got facilities here, and it's a matter of making the most of what we've got and improving what we've got and moving forward from there.
It's definitely a work in progress. I mean, you've got a bit of a challenge in front of you.
Oh, we have, but that's what makes it exciting at the same time. We could come in here with everything set up and looking like a picture, which is great, but if we can get it looking from this to looking like a picture, it's going to be a lot more satisfying.
So what's on the schedule to get it from this to what you'd like?
Well, you can see behind us here we've got a block of cherries which we've just got planted. Now this is stage one basically. We're also looking at putting in a vegetable garden where we're going to have a series of plots, and around that we're going to have espaliered fruit trees. And in there we're going to be growing herbs and some vegetables for the Polytech restaurant. So we're working in conjunction with them on the types of things that they'd like to have and what's going to suit with us and what we can be growing.
What's on your curriculum?
My curriculum? I've got a bachelor's degree in horticultural science, originally from the North Island, so that was through Massey University. And my hometown's Te Puke, so a lot of involvement in the kiwifruit industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? So right from planting, shelter bouts, planting out, posting out, grafting, working in pack houses, so pretty much the full run in kiwifruit. And then when I moved to the South Island, have grown lilies on a commercial basis, and we were selling mail order bulbs and cut flowers. And still doing that, but very much a weekend proposition these days, and full-time here tutoring with the Polytech.
So basically you've just told me what the course is going to include, haven't you?
Oh, it would be silly not to though, wouldn't it? Well, that's probably
but I mean, you're looking at propagation and you're looking at soil.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Really, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what type of plant you're growing. You're looking at similar requirements. You know, it's going to be what's suited to your location, the fertility, the water requirements, the climatic, etc. So from that we can look at growing successfully or better what is suited to your area. And sure, behind us we've got a tunnel house which we're looking at recovering, and that's going to increase the diversity of what we can grow here. But at the same time, it's probably a bit cold to be growing pawpaws or coffee or vanilla or those sorts of things.
Well, that does lead me on to the fact that you do have students from areas that do grow those sorts of things.
We do, and it's actually really exciting that we've got overseas students from Pacific Islands. You know, we've got a couple of guys from Vanuatu and a couple from Papua New Guinea who have come over to do the course with us. And it's great from my perspective as well, because it's really interesting to be talking about crops which we wouldn't usually be dealing with here. So, you know, we've got guys who are involved in the growing coffee in Vanuatu and up in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, vanilla, pawpaw, taro, cassava, a whole lot of things that we wouldn't usually associate with New Zealand. But getting back to it, if we're looking at growing plants, it doesn't matter what that plant is. If we get the basics right, we can successfully grow those plants.
So that's why they're here.
Yeah, and the other good thing is too that they're involved in the education of other people, so what they do, they can take some of those skills back home with them to pass on hopefully some useful information.
So as far as the New Zealanders are concerned, if somebody wants a career in horticulture,
this is definitely a good starting point. It's quite a general course, so we're covering lots of different areas from plant propagation, planting out, caring for plants, pruning, training, maintaining. There's quite a broad range of soils, quite a broad range of things that we do cover.
And they have a piece of paper in their hand as they leave?
They will, if they pass everything, yes. What we're looking at is the course that we're offering here. It's a National Certificate in Horticulture Level 3. So that's a general horticultural qualification, and from that the students can specialise into areas which are of interest to them if they so choose to, be it amenity or production horticulture, grapes, floristry, or post-harvest, quite a big range of areas they can get into.
Because it is a big industry.
It's a huge industry, yeah. And really, if you look around, all of the farms out here, without knowing it, are also involved in growing plants. So the basics we teach here also applicable to cropping farms, dairy farms, etc. as well. Get the basics right, grow the plants. Sure, they've got animal husbandry issues as well, but if you get the plants growing properly, you're going to have more production, more animals, more mouths you can feed. So it's a flow-on effect.
As we head to 2050. Mark, tell me a bit about this orchard, because to me they look very close for cherry trees.
They do look close, but if you look at the size of them, the trees they'll be starting to be 2 metres tall. So these trees will be probably 10 years old. So rather than have a tree which is 4 to 5 metres tall and hard to prune, we've got quite a compact weed tree, and a big part of the cost of harvesting, big part of the cost of producing a crop is harvesting. So if you can harvest from the ground, we're not having to have ladders in here, a lot safer as well. We're going to get our cherries picked a lot quicker, a lot easier, a lot cheaper.
So it's all in the pruning?
It is in the pruning, and also in the restricting the root growth, which is these trees behind us here, or behind me, were originally planted in bags. So they were above ground, and they would have been grown under plastic, so the amount of water which got onto those plants was restricted, so that restricted the top growth of the plants. So the history of these plants was that from the stage of being grown in plants, they were planted out into the ground, and the property that these trees have come from, and they've only been here for 3 weeks, it's a property had changed hands and they were going to be ripped out. So we took the opportunity to relocate them to here, and we're going to fence around and have bird netting over the top, so we'll have protection from birds, and this year we'll get some crop and look at increasing that as years go on.
So because they're so close, the roots don't spread as much?
The roots will spread as much. Because they're initially grown in the planter bag, we haven't got a taproot as such. So rather than a big strong root growing directly down, we've got a number of smaller roots which are growing closer to the surface. They will, as the trees become used to this area and become established here, sure, the trees will grow, but we'll prune them to control that as well, and we won't want them to get much bigger than what they are now.
Fertigation?
It's a possibility, and it's something that we'll talk about in our course. Probably if they were grown under a plastic cover, the more important thing would be controlling the water intake, because that can have an impact on the cherry splitting and on the quality of them at harvest time. But yeah, we could definitely look at fertigation or putting nutrients through with the water when we get an irrigation system set up on here.
It's exciting times for you and the people who are coming onto the course especially.
It is, yeah, and we're looking at improving what we've got here, and we've got enough area here that we can add on to the growing space. I suppose this block here is set up on our training farm, which is 60 hectares in total. So we have got scope to increase our plantings once we need to, when we need to.
I was going to say when you need to, because that sort of thing looks as though it's going to be very, very popular. After the break, it's the Rural Support Trust and Doug Archbold.
Orion is here to help when planting and maintaining trees around its network. As an owner, it's your responsibility to keep your trees away from power lines to reduce the risk of harm and power cuts. There are a variety of trees and shrubs suitable for planting near power lines. By choosing a tree that won't impact power lines, you will be protecting your local community's health and well-being. Please contact us for more information, and let's work together to keep you connected.
For a fresh, vibrant and unique look that reflects your style, whether you're wanting to stand out from the crowd or blend in, Decode has it all. Decode caters to both male and female, from teens to all adults and the young at heart. Life's too short to simply blend in. Shop online at decodefashion.co.nz or in store at 220 Stafford Street, Timaru.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference more mobility makes.
PhoneQuip, the place to shop for a great range of 2 Degrees mobile phones, accessories and USB modems. We can also set you up on a pay monthly plan, or you can purchase your prepaid top-up. To view our range of 2 Degree products, visit our website or simply head in store.
Blackwell's has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwell's your #1 choice. Visit Blackwell's today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn, or online at blackwells.co.nz.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service, on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. Everybody, Doug, starting to talk about the price coming back for dairy farmers and the mental stress and drama.
Well, they are, Rob, but I think the first point you want to remember is that we're coming off probably one of the best years they've ever had. The other point is there's quite a lagged effect before these lower prices actually start to hit. And I'm sure dairy farmers are like all farmers. The first person they talk to is their banker, their advisor, and their accountant, and look at ways of mitigating some of the worst effects. There's the income equalisation scheme which they can use, which runs through till March. But I think I like to look back on some of the things that I did back in the mid-80s when my income dropped by half overnight when SMPs disappeared. And I think the key to the survival of rural communities in those days was the fact that farmers got together and did things in the community. And in our case, we had working bees to raise money for extra land for our golf club. And after the working bee was over, we all sat round, had a bit of a yarn, had a couple of drinks, and people started to realise that they weren't alone, that we're all basically in the same position. And I think that was actually very therapeutic when I look back on that, and it actually helped a lot of farmers. And I think also, dairy guys have not perhaps been so involved in some of the communities that they live in, and I think this is a great opportunity for them to perhaps get a bit involved in the community, talk to one another, watch out for those farmers who they aren't seeing, and maybe make a few inquiries and find out how they're getting on.
Because a lot of those farmers are very focused on their staff, but really don't leave the property very much.
That's right, and it's the same with the staff too. Sometimes they're living almost in isolation in a community, and bearing in mind quite a lot of the staff now, it's like the United Nations, and they're
very much so, Doug.
all
Very
over
much
the
so.
place. And I know that the likes of Culverton, just using that as an example, that they have a very active organisation there where they get the staff involved and make them welcome into the district. And all these things can help when times are tough.
Because you're looking at share milkers who move sometimes every June, sometimes every second June, but they're coming into a new community, aren't they?
Well, they are, and sadly, probably lower order share milkers are the first people that will be affected by this, and it will be difficult for some of them. But communities can help by being supportive and getting to know people that come into their community, making them welcome, and keeping an eye on them.
Fence at the top of the cliff.
Well, we hope that that is the case.
Exactly. What else are you guys up to? Because you're always there if there's any climatic dramas or whatever, so you're just loading everything up.
Well, I've also been involved in the Farmer Wellness Group in Wellington, and we're starting to reach some conclusions and hopefully getting to the stage where we're getting strategies together where we have got the fence at the top of the cliff. Interestingly, a survey that the Farmer Health did on farmers, they got 300 farmers replied in 3 days to a questionnaire, and they found that 90% of the farmers were happy to go out and help other farmers, but only a very small percentage were actually prepared to seek help for themselves. And of course, herein lies one of the problems that we've got with farmers. And we need to try and change that mindset somehow.
I don't know how you're going to do that apart from just saying it over and over again. It's okay to put your hand up.
Well, depression is an illness. It's not a weakness. That is quite a good catchphrase.
We're going to leave that on that with that hanging, Doug. Thank you very much indeed. Phone numbers, including Federated Farmers, on your screen now. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. You've either been watching or you've just missed Rob's country, and it was a beauty. But anyway, we'll be back at the same time next week. Until then, bye now.